Donnetta, you want to share with us some of the challenges that you're seeing in rural areas that you're working in?
Well,
Did I ask that right?
yes. Just in listening to everything, I have a unique, I think that's a little bit different. 4 years ago, right in this city, right, probably not too far from here, Congress convened a commission on banking. Which is where I come from, even as a CRA officer for some time. And Jamie Dimon of Chase, this is knowledge, so hopefully people won't have a problem with me discussing it openly, admitted that his institution benefited from the institution of slavery and can monetize it and put a number on it. This was 4 years ago. And instead of that being an alarming thing, we have gone the opposite way and decided that we shouldn't be talking about that anymore. Oh, why don't you guys just let that go? And I need for people to understand that Black human beings were considered, were equated the same way on a balance sheet as a piece of equipment. Pieces of equipment have value, are able to be insured, are able to be leveraged, are added to the bottom lines of balance sheets for people, and are equated to ways to help you function. So if you are admitting and have put a number value on human value and how that helped you build a huge institution like a Chase Bank, and then proceed to say that what we're going to do is we're going to pledge $100 million in programming instead of putting that money directly into businesses and supporting those businesses, you are shirking the responsibility. I'm not exactly sure how you can monetize and find value to it and then say, hey, you don't need this. This is not happening. You should not have any type of set aside or special treatment when you can directly link the value of a person to things. So if you can admit openly in Congress that you have profited from it and still cannot get people on board enough to say we should not be rescinding rights at this point, I think there should be some thought processes around, yes, we need to get a seat at the table, but I am of a thought process at this point that I'm going to build my own table, because obviously the value that I bring to the society as a whole is never going to be fully quantified, and you are never going to pay me any type of return on my investment, whether that be intellectual property, whether that, and for instance, everyone spoke about how most of the things that we're talking about is not actually the skill set that are erecting the buildings, or that are building the vehicles or coming up with the technology. What we're talking about is the people that are able to manage the businesses. So how do we continue to put things in place, bonding requirements, insurance things, all these things, by the way, insurance companies included, that at one time insured people as property. So again, at some point, we were given some sort of value. So, but now that value doesn't exist and we don't need these things. So the fact that you can just admit, quantify, put a number on something, and we systematically take away those same rights. I'm not sure, and I think that we should all be like, yes, we all need to work together. Yes, we all need to write our congressmen, talk to our secretary of states. There needs to be leadership to put, but at some point, you're going to have to decide, hey, at what point can we divest and systematically work with each other? How can, and it's not just a Black thing. I'm specifically talking about slavery because it is quantifiable. There are numbers. This is not an emotional request. There are numbers that say these things, and then we systematically take away our pathways to this generational wealth that people are talking about, even though you can prove how your generational wealth was built off of other individuals. So I am not trying to be or trying to come off as if this is not an important thing, that we don't need to hold our officials accountable. But you also need to hold yourself accountable. And what can we do to invest in each other? And especially in the Black community specifically, I'm part of an organization in Atlanta, a place where if you were born into poverty in 1965, you only have a 4% chance of getting out of that poverty if you are an African American. So please understand that 4% comes up a lot. And because you said it a lot of times, but understand that Atlanta is looked at the beacon of Black wealth, as a beacon of change for America, how things should be, how cooperative works. But the reality is we don't own the commercial real estate in Atlanta. We're not, there's a few companies, to your point, that will get, and you know these people, oh, we're not gonna, we know that so-and-so is involved, so we know that that's where that's going to. Okay, fine, we can navigate, but what is the purpose of putting these set-asides if it's only gonna make one generation of a family? That's not real. So the idea is, where we are trying to partner, where we're spending our monies, we have to be really deliberate in trying to spend it. And it's not going to be as shiny all the time because we don't have the resources to hire a PR firm, but doesn't mean we're the ones actually doing the work. We're the ones actually building. We're actually the ones that are innovating. And then somebody comes behind and puts the money behind from this wealth that they generated unfortunately off the backs of a lot of the people that they are now trying to take everything away from. So there is a little bit of, okay, yes, we have to cooperate, but at some point we're gonna have to build our own table, because I mean, how long do you need to see that your seat at the table is so that, as I've been told so many times over my career, is just because we need access to your community? Stop telling me that. You need to, there needs to be at some point some investment directly into, I don't need another training program, which is great. Great. You're going to show me how to, and it's free, so you should be happy, right? I'm going to show you how to get your DBE done. I'm going to show you how to get the certification, and it's free to you. We're going to have meetings. We're going to eat a little bit. We're going to pass the cards out. We're going to do all that, but I still don't have a contract. How is this when you can quantify that I built your company, I built the country? These are not emotional things. We have to not allow for it to keep turning into a conversation about you guys shouldn't feel that way. It's not about what I feel. These are numbers. This is real. There is a real systematic plan to take us back to before, when we were property. This is systematic, it's purposeful. All of these programs that we're all talking about, we benefiting at people of color, started with Black people, descendants of slaves, these programs to try to quote unquote level the playing field. So at some point, there has to be some directive directly into reinvesting some of the money that was made over the hundreds of years of free labor, and the insurance wrapping that was going on back in the 1800s, using people as collateral and people as part of your balance sheet. You were able to borrow against that. You were able to go to a bank and get money off to run your business, to scale your business, using people as part of your asset base. There's a systematic way to determine what you owe me or what you owe us, or what you owe to descendants of slavery. And I'm not talking about reparations. I'm not talking about that in particular. There is a way for you to discover that. And instead of keep saying you're going to invest these monies back into these programs, oh, by the way, would you decide who you're going to get to educate us? You're going to decide that. You're going to put it into these agencies that you put together, where the people that run them do not look like the people that they're serving. They get those allocations to educate us about things. You have no idea what the struggle is that is inherent, because you don't live it. You're not on the ground. You don't understand it. There's no way. So again, you're allocating, and it's a tax write-off to them also. Let's be clear that this $100 million that they're putting in is also a tax write-off for money that they got off, that started with using people as an asset class. So like, I just want people to be conscious and understand, and it's not a Black thing or descendants of slavery thing, because trust me, when they get done here, they're coming for you too. So let's not be naive. Let's not be, I'm not saying, talk about it. This is not a marching situation. Let's be deliberate, use the numbers to come up with real ways to properly reinvest and disperse patient capital responsibly. And of course, yes, support the people, but please allow for that support. If you're going to invest into some support systems, put it into some of the businesses or organizations that are on the ground that are really getting help. And lastly, we have to stop making it so that if I do apply for a grant, I have to get permission from 2 or 3 other people, or support letters from other people that generally and systematically have never supported me before, but now they're supposed to support me to go get federal grant money, because if they don't support me, then I'm incapable of being a good fiduciary and dispersing the money to the people that I'm trying to help. So I have to get not only your permission, but your oversight in order for me to receive federal fundings to help the people that I'm trying to help directly. So that's I know it's little soapboxes, but again, even with the emotion, I'm still talking about the numbers of trying to create some real equality and equity in some of this government funding.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Dr.